Welcome to Jerry Richardson Indoor Stadium, folks, for another last edition, if you can believe it, of Inside Wofford Basketball, the Southern Conference Tournament Preview Edition with head coach Dwight Perry, brought to you by Yokohama. Well, Coach, if you're a college basketball fan, and I know you are when you're not coaching up, it's Christmas time, man. It's March. This is tournament time. This is what you've been preparing for all season long. From a coaching standpoint, does it get any better than this time of year?
It doesn't. I mean, this is the time of year, like you said, that you're most excited for. As a kid, conference tournament time, right? Gearing up for the NCAA tournament. This is what you prepare for. If everyone's being honest, in the preseason and in the non-conference, this is what you prepare your team for with how you play, with the games. And so this is the time of year that everyone's excited for. It's a new year. But I think as much as you focus towards, it being a new and exciting year, I think it's all the more reason, where you have to buckle down and you still have to continue to strive to get better. Because while, right, you have less than a week to prepare for a SoCon tournament, there's still areas on both sides of the floor that you can get better in.
Wofford comes in with a little bit of momentum now. Winners of their last two against Samford, the number one seed in the tournament, and against VMI in Lexington, Virginia over the weekend. What does that do? Do we make too much of momentum going into a tournament when there's about a week in between your last regular season game and your first conference game?
Yeah, I think it's not the end-all, be-all, but, to win 3 of our last 4, and for us, right, 2 of those were on the road. And I think in general, like we've talked about, win or lose, the most important thing is you want to be playing your best ball going into conference tournament. And I really feel we're doing that. And so I think for us, we have to continue the areas of the game where we've done well, where we've played well and been successful. We have to continue to fine-tune those and stay sharp in those areas. And there's definitely areas where we have to clean up. And I think this time of year, right, this period where you're Monday all the way to playing on Saturday, you have to be intentional and you have to be creative at how you can continue to strive to get better, with this shorter period of time before games.
Let's talk about that win at home against Samford too, because they came in obviously having already clinched the number one seed and the top team in the league. They decided to rest some guys. They've also had some guys with injuries and illness, but you guys didn't care about that. You came down, you rained threes upon that team once again. I think 33 threes in the 2 games against Samford, something along those lines. Corey Tripp had 17 points. Dylan Bailey got things going in the first half, late in the first half when you guys really started to take over. When Dylan's part of the group of guys who are really contributing, that makes us a very hard team to stop.
100%. And I think obviously, it's no secret that Dylan can be very explosive offensively. I think he can make a lot of plays for us. And I think, our whole team benefits when he's aggressive and he's making simple and aggressive plays. He obviously can make shots and score the ball, but I think the attention that he draws when he collapses defenses, when he's being aggressive and assertive while being simple, allows other guys to be able to benefit and get simple shots. And I think the Samford game was a great example of that. I think our team was super confident. We played aggressive. We came out ready to play, and it didn't necessarily always go our way. We got down 20-12 early, but I really thought the team responded well. We continued to fight and stick with the game plan, and I was really proud of a lot of guys stepping up and making big-time plays on both ends of the floor.
In fact, after that early deficit, Wofford absolutely went to town, leading Samford by as many as 39 points in the second half. We spoke to Dylan Bailey after the big win over the Bulldogs.
How good did it feel tonight to see some stuff go down, not only for you but for everybody? It's a team that has got some good looks over the last 3 or 4 games, but they just hadn't been falling. Tonight they fell for you.
Oh, it felt great. I mean, everybody's moving the ball. Everybody's getting excited for one another. Seeing them go down, there's no better feeling than that.
You guys had 3 rough games against 3 pretty good teams, too, and this is the number one seed in the league. So just from a frame of mind standpoint, Dylan, you get back on track. You have 1 regular season game to go. How badly did you need this with the conference tournament just a week away?
I mean, I think we needed it bad. I think we needed to prove a lot, necessarily to ourselves about what we're capable of and the type of game we want to play and the type of Wofford basketball we want to play. So I think that was the mindset long before tonight. I think the way we attacked practice on Monday and on Tuesday, it showed tonight.
games like this, when they get out of hand, one of the cool things is it lets a guy like Joe Spinelli get in there and play. What does that mean for you guys that you start and you play most of the minutes, to see a guy like Joe be able to get in there and contribute tonight?
I mean, that's just a guy. He's out here every day the same way I am, in practice, helping us get better. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun to get to see him on the court, run around, and get in the spotlight for a little bit. And
you guys were yelling shoot more at him, weren't you?
Yes, yelling at him to shoot the ball.
Yeah, and while you guys were yelling that, in his head he heard his dad, who's a basketball coach, say, "Don't shoot that, make the extra pass." So
he was making the right play the whole time.
Like the devil and the angel sitting on either shoulder.
Definitely.
Dylan Bailey, 20 points, 5 for 7 from beyond the arc. Congratulations, Wofford, a 91-69 winner over Samford.
It's the moment you dream of, the moment you work for, train for, run wind sprints when nobody's watching for, the moment when hours of gym time, court time, prep time, all culminate into this time, the moment when millions of bounces, blocks, and boards all add up to this, your moment. Ingalls, we're with you every step of the way.
In fact, Dylan seems to have his best games against teams named after dogs. So if we could jigger the bracket around there, maybe get Gardner Webb into the tournament one year, we'll see what we can do. But he's really come on, as you said. And then at VMI, once again, they come to play every time. It's something about Wofford that brings out the best in the Keydets. 5-point halftime deficit, and then guys really got their defensive game together and took that game over.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a lull, towards the middle end of the first half. And I thought our energy and our physicality, just how hard we were playing, was fluctuating a little too much for us to be playing at our best. And I thought our guys did a great job responding. Coming out of halftime, I think we limited them to 4 points the first 8 minutes of the second half. And as a team, we talked about it, players, coaches, we talked about it at halftime, or we reiterated it throughout the second half, is when we're defending like we're capable of defending, it makes teams, it really frustrates teams. And I thought VMI, as confident and as comfortable as they were in the first half, right, especially Jackson having 19 points in the first half. He had 3 in the second. I thought that was a great barometer of how tough and how hard we were playing, especially on the defensive end. And as a result, we were able to take a 5-point deficit in halftime and stretch it out to, I think, as much as 14 and end up winning the game by 12.
So Wofford winds up 10-8 in the regular season. That's a 2-game improvement from last year. And the Terriers wind up 6th in the conference, actually technically in a tie for 5th. And of course, after being picked 8th in the preseason media poll, that's a big improvement as well. When we come back, a look ahead to Asheville and the first round matchup with Chattanooga. That's next here on Inside Wofford Basketball.
You're true blue, up before the sun. The men and women we count on every day. And you count on your Carolina Ford dealers, so you can be ready for what's next. Stay focused and connected. Help inspire a generation. And when you need us most, we're here for you. Get 1.9% financing for 72 months with up to $4,150 package savings on select Ford trucks, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
And welcome back. So it'll be Wofford, the number 6 seed, against number 3 seed Chattanooga. That's a Saturday 6 p.m. tip-off in Asheville, quarterfinal of the Southern Conference Tournament. This is a team that defeated Wofford twice in the regular season. This is also a team that has ended Wofford's season 2 years in a row. how badly do your guys want to beat those Mocs on Saturday?
I think we want to beat them because we're playing in the conference tournament. I think the reality is, you mentioned the last 2 years, I mean, they have two different coaches in both of those scenarios, so they're two different teams. Last year's team is completely different than this year's team, right, on both fronts, Wofford and Chattanooga. So I think, obviously, we didn't play well either game in the regular season. I think for our team, that's as much of a motivation as anything that's happened in the past. But I think no matter who we drew, right, any of the other 9 teams, the reality is this time of year, it's win or go home. And so if you need any more motivation other than that, then you're probably in the wrong locker room and you have no chance. And so, our guys are super motivated. I think this time of year, again, as much as it's about the other team, it's really about playing the best that you can play and focusing on what you can do better. And so that's kind of our guys' focus right now, and it probably will be the majority of this week going into our game versus Chattanooga.
Everybody knows each other so well in this league now. You've all played 2 games against each other. In the preparation for a game like this, do you see many wild cards or completely different approaches? Is there a limit to what coaches can scheme up at this time of year, or is it more about executing the things that you've already been talking about?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. I think even though both teams have played each other twice, I think every game is situational, right? So the first game we played, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Jeremy Lorenz played for us, and the second game for them, Trey Bonham didn't play. So those 2 players being really good and very vital in their own right, I think that can kind of change the dynamics of each of those games. I think there are wrinkles after 2 games that you can look at to say, if we can try this, we can maybe, add this to our repertoire on offense, try a little bit of this defensively. I think both teams will obviously do that. But I think the majority of the game is going to come down to trying to execute and trying to be the best version of yourself and staying true to yourself that you, at this point, have been 31 games into a season. And so I think for us, right, there's definitely areas that we can look to try to tinker with and try to exploit, more than we have in the past. But the biggest thing is, I think for us, we have to get back to doing what we do really well, which is playing harder than the other team, being mentally and physically tougher than the other team, and doing it together more than the other team. And I think if we can stay true to that formula, that recipe has given us a lot of success, right, over the course of the season.
Final question for you. There's a chance that this tournament could see its 6th different champion in this last 6 years. We hope that doesn't happen, because we're one of the 5 teams that has won it the last 5 years. But, some of the teams at the top of the bracket, Dwight, haven't exactly been cruising into the tournament. Some of the teams near the bottom of the seedings all of a sudden look a bit more dangerous. Is this going to be a chalk tournament, or do you see some surprises looming out there, perhaps?
Yeah, I think anyone that would say one way or the other, right, they obviously are just guessing, because at the end of the day, like we've talked about from the very beginning of conference starting, any team can beat anyone home or away. And I think that's played out through an 18-game season across the board. And so I think, again, as much as this time of year is really exciting to kind of try to predict and try to anticipate, I think for us, you just have to focus on what the task at hand. And right now it's preparing for Chattanooga. And obviously the other teams playing across the bracket, that's entertaining and interesting for the fans and for people at Asheville who are obviously able to watch high-quality basketball and a very entertaining brand of basketball. One of the 12 best conferences in the country, that is the SoCon. And so it's exciting. But I think for us in our program, the most important thing is us locking in and being super laser focused to try to do what we can do and prepare the best we can for Chattanooga. Because at this time of year, all it is about surviving and advancing, pouring everything you have mentally, physically, and emotionally into your Saturday night game with the hopes that you win by at least 1 and you get to play Sunday. And you rinse and repeat that process 3 times in a row. And if you're fortunate enough to be that team on Monday night, cutting down the nets, you've done your job.
Man, I'm ready to play now. I don't want to wait anymore. I'm ready to go to Asheville right now. We always appreciate the time. We've had a blast doing the show every week this year. And best of luck. We'll see you up there in Asheville.
Looking forward to it.
All right, head coach Dwight Perry. When we come back, we'll take a look at the women's side of the bracket with Terriers women's head coach Jimmy Garrity. That's next on Inside Wofford Basketball, brought to you by Yokohama.